Hello and welcome to the Shanghai International Circuit. We're here in China for round 3 of the 6th season of FormulaXbox. And of course it is round 3. We've had 2 very exciting and eventful rounds so far with plenty of on-track action. And while the skies are grey today, there is no rain forecast for this one. So the third race that's not going to be rain affected this season, which I think many drivers will be pleased to hear. So, as you can see, it's a circuit with 16 turns, and making the best of the 16 turns in qualifying was Lars, making his debut for Manor and snatching what was a surprise pole versus what was actually predicted by a lot of the drivers prior to the race weekend. So, it was actually Josh in the Williams who rounded out the front row in P2, with Comundo in third place. Force India going well at the moment and showing Kev the way in terms of pace so far. And behind them, we've got Noor in the Renault and Sinan again in the Renault P4 and P5. So a strong showing from the boys in yellow as they really did get a good starting point on the grid. But as we've seen so far in this championship, starting positions only count for very little on lap 1 with plenty of action in the first few corners of both races so far. And it could be a similar scenario today with the tricky Sector 1 often leading itself to a few incidents and slip-ups from certain drivers. And people can certainly trip over each other in those technical sections. So as we wind up towards race time now, get a final view of the Williams on the grid. We'll be handing over to the lights and Charlie Whiting as he'll do his thing in a moment and get this underway. So going to be on board with the Toro Rosso now, Silent Mole Luke in P6. As it's lights out and away we go. It's a very long hold there. It almost caught me out as we see the Toro Rosso gets away fairly well. He's got the 2 Renaults to negotiate up ahead of him. It's getting very tight into turn 1, but Lars at the moment's got the jump on everybody. Renault spinning out, Toro Rosso coming to grief there as well at turn 1, just about avoids Jokers as he comes charging through on the outside as well, and that's Luke down to P9, and devastatingly for him had lost his front wing early on. So the season 5 champions in the wars very early on, and again we've seen a lap 1 scuffle with some drivers coming to grief very early on in the day. As we see KGibbsGP had an awful start as well. He just didn't get away from the line, bogged down with anti-stall kicking, and as we saw at the apex there, he had to go super wide to avoid what was a rather large accident, to be fair, involving the Ferraris. I'd like to see that from their perspective. It seemed very well, pretty aggressive into turn 1. A bit of a disaster for those guys in red. As you see, the Renault just spins out, hits the Toro Rosso. Kev got caught up in all that as well, and it was just frantic, an absolute frenzy of activity there at the apex of 1. And this will be interesting now. We're going to see it from Sam's perspective. Now, we saw a Ferrari at one point there sideways. He has to dodge to avoid KGibbsGP. We've got an awful getaway from P8 on the grid, and Hickey comes charging through there. It is actually Hickey that lost it, goes into Sam. Sam gets sandwiched in the Sauber and goes over at turn 1. So nightmare start for Sam. Somehow he's kept it moving, which is awesome. They build those Ferraris strong, and so even though he's been up and over on lap 1, he's still going. As we see KGibbsGP now on board later on in the lap, he's down in P12 after getting mired with a bad start and getting on the outside line as it all got very tasty at the apex of turn 1. He's passed Kev already. He's now passing Budgie, who's gone very deep there as they head now through past turn 8 and 9, now heading into turn 10. He's now behind Luke, and we know Luke has front wing damage as well. So as we see later on in the lap now, K Gibbs is going for the move at the hairpin on Luke, which, I mean, Luke in the Toro Rosso should be easy meat, to be fair, given that he's got that damaged car at the moment. I dare say he'll be diving into the pits. He's gone for the cutback anyway. K Gibbs leaves him some space, but alas, Luke dives into the pit lane, as I said, as expected, gets out of the battle. But we're interested to see what he does on strategy now. Yet another race that's been significantly compromised by some early lap incidents. But again, it'll be interesting just to see what these guys do on strategy now. Plenty of options, as we see Drastic Devil making a particularly ambitious move on Kev. Fortunately, Kev saw him coming and left enough space, just turned out of the corner But all that battle was for is to actually be the first one on the pit road between the two of them there. So as we see again, another view from that hairpin on that one, it all got very close. 3 wide going to the hairpin. Something's got to give here. Scott on the outside line there. Budgie just about avoids what could have been an accident. It turned out of the corner, and rather wisely there, as Drastic Midget was very, very late on the brake. Somehow got it stopped in time, and there we go. Sam around the outside of Drastic Midget there. Superb bit of racecraft, as it's a really tasty battle, albeit for P10, 11 and 12 at the moment, as we've got Nor in the Renault as well looking for a piece of the action, and of course Scott hanging on to these 3 for now. And it looks like Sam has got the measure of Drastic Midget at the moment, and as we see a bit of lag there, which causes more intrigue in this battle, and a bit more for the drivers to think about as they're wondering where everybody else is. And Drastic Midget got some serious connection problems going on at the moment, which is a shame for him. Hopefully he can stay in the lobby for as long as possible. Hopefully he can stay in for the entire race. We've got the virtual safety car deployed now, so some shenanigans have clearly happened there. Map 2, I'm surprised there wasn't nothing deployed on that one. As we see now, virtual safety cars ended. The Toro Rosso going for a move on the McLaren of Jokers, heading into the outside line into the hairpin, I should say, turn 15, and again makes the move stick. Not much of a fight really posed by Jokers there. I think he realised the battle was lost on that one, as Luke Season 5 champions coming through. But I've said that I may have spoken too soon, because the McLaren is coming back at him now heading into turn 1. So yeah, makes the move stick. Nothing wrong with that Honda powertrain, as Luke tries to hang it out around the outside, hand out of the cockpit as well. As he was being squeezed by the McLaren, he's going to have the inside for turn 3. Brilliant stuff from Luke. Managed to keep his foot in for long enough to give himself the high ground at turn 3, but he's got a bit of a loss of traction on the exit there, and that's handed Jokers the place back now. So Luke's done all that good work. He's going to have to do it again as he gets into the back of the McLaren and loses yet more of his front wing. So not good stuff from Luke there, unfortunately. He's lost a bit more front wing, a couple of points of downforce gone. Certainly not as bad as the damage he sustained on lap 1, but it's certainly suboptimal on lap 5 of this one. He's going to have to extend this stint and extend it with that damaged front wing, no less. But he's made the move on Jokers again as they head into the hairpin once more. Lap 5 this time. He's gone a bit deep, but I think he'll have the job done. Or will he? Because Jokers may try and pull the same trick as he did last time and get him on the way into turn 1. But no, he bails out of the fight, bails into the pit lane, and makes his first stop of the race. As we see K Gibbs also now in, making his first stop of the race on lap 5. He's moving off of the soft tyre. Now it'll be interesting to see what tyre he puts on. Again, going to be a key indicator for strategy now, as he's one of the first to box for a new set of tyres. He puts on the medium compound. So I'd imagine his strategy from here could be soft, medium, medium. He's going to have to extend this thing quite far. Tyre wear is very key around China, with the long radius corners that really do ask a lot of the fronts, and very much a front left limited circuit this one. As we see now a battle for P13, as we've got Drastic Devil on the back of Nor. It's a bit of a corner cut there from Drastic Devil, and he does receive a penalty for it. So he's going to have to add 3 seconds onto his race time for his eventual finishing position. So he can't hang about behind Nor, and he's certainly not planning on it, as he dives to the outside. He's going to have the inside now as they head through turn 14. And he's got the job done there, I believe. Yes, looks like it. So Drastic Devil up another place and into P13 after he got into a bit of a scuffle on that one as well. Pretty sure everybody did, to be fair, barring a couple that seemed to get away with it. Sinan notably in the Renault, and of course Josh as well in the Williams. Lars as well seemed to get away with it too, but I'm not sure whereabouts he is on the road now. I'm sure we'll cut to him in a moment as we see Sam in the pit lane now, putting on some soft set of tyres. He's now down in P10, and we know Sam is a bit of a strategy genius in some of these races. He played as well with some fantastic strategy and tyre conservation. He played his way into victory. Australia, I should say, race 1 of this season, as we see cut now to K Gibbs out on his medium tyres, and he's got prototypBudgiE ahead of him. And I believe the McLaren is going to try one stop in this one, so he's not probably going to fight the Red Bull too hard, and so it turns out, as K Gibbs makes a rather easy move up the inside as he looks to recover from that difficult start. And now cutting to Budgie's perspective as his teammate goes wide. His teammate for just one race. As you see Lars now, we have cut to him down in P13, so difficult to see. Well, we don't actually know what happened to Lars there, but he's certainly had a tough start to things in this race from what was a very well taken pole position on debut. As prototypBudgiE being again passed this time by Luke on his comeback through the field, and now cutting to Sam in P6 with Josh behind him in the Williams. Now again, on very different strategies, these two, after their very varying starts, and Josh down the inside of Sam. Again, Sam probably wise not to put up too much of a fight against Josh at this point in the race, as ultimately they're probably in different races at the moment. As now Luke on the back of Lars. Now he's made short work of prototypBudgiE, and I wonder if he'll make short work of the Manor as well, as Lars gets it wrong coming through there, and a bit of grass kicked up. So Luke may be wise here to stay for DRS, but he's not going to wait. He's not a man for waiting in this race, as he makes the move early on. He's going to be under pressure probably now on this straight from Lars, who will have DRS as he was behind in the detection point, but with some superb traction out of there. He's left him for dust on the exit of that particular corner, and made the move stick. Drastic Midget, who has now lagged out, has caused a little bit of a scuffle between prototypBudgiE and Drastic Devil here. There was a little bit of argy-bargy between the two of them. It was interesting to see it from Devil's perspective now, as Scott goes to the inside to try and avoid Drastic Midget. Oh, Devil's way too late on the brakes, cuts the corner, slams into the side of Scott, and then gets the cut back on him. I believe the stewards will be having a look at that one, because that was a particularly ambitious overtake there from Drastic Devil. As he cut to KGibbs now, he's got a puncture, left front puncture for KGibbs. He's down in P8, P9 now as he dives into the pits. And that was 10 laps on that medium set of tyres. Now, I believe he was going to make his stop on this particular lap. I'm hearing it was actually halfway round the lap that his tyre punctured. It's a nightmare for KGibbs, who's now going to have... He's couldn't make those tyres go 10 laps, and we cut now to a replay of his tyre puncture. As you see, it was, yeah, again, halfway round the lap. The tyre just let go. He was running them pretty close to the wire. As you can see, his right front was on 69% wear, but remember way back when I said this race was going to be limited in terms of tyre wear by the left front, and KGibbs' race has certainly been hindered by that. So he's down in P11 now, and he's got his work cut out again to make his way through the field for a second time in this race. As we see now, he's on the outside of Scott heading through turn 1. He's gone very, very wide though, so he's not going to be able to make that stick there. He made light work of the McLaren earlier on, but Scott, having made his first stop's now got something to fight for in this race, as this is a battle for position, not net position at the moment. As we see now, KGibbs has got a good traction out of turn 3, and he's going to be on the outside now into turn 5, which is going to be tricky. Scott holds his ground well there. KGibbs can't get the cut back, but he's going to get better traction on newer tyres, and he's going to make the move stick, I think. Yes, he's got it done as they head into the S curves. So up to P10 for KGibbs, but a lot of work to do from here if he's going to salvage some points in this race. As we cut now to Sam on his alternate strategies, virtual safety car ending. This must be a replay. As you see, his teammate Hickey dives to the inside, was a little bit quicker there to respond to the end of the VSC, and has made that to good effect in terms of gaining P6 and demoting his teammate down. But again, a little bit of lag involved there, it seems, and Hickey's lagged back behind him, so he's going to have to do that work all over again as they head in towards the hairpin now. Hickey on the brakes, makes light work of his teammate with the aid of DRS, of course, and Sam getting it all crossed up on the exit as he looks to get the power down as early as possible. So the Ferraris running well in this race, Red Bull not having quite such a good time of things. As we see now, Sam coming up to the back of Hickey once again. Hickey goes defensive to the inside, Sam goes to the outside into turn 1. It's going to be tricky to make the move stick around there, but he's hanging on in. Maybe he's going to keep it on the outside as they head down into turn 3. No, has to bail out of it. He just about had the legs on Sam there, but it was a very valiant effort from Sam. He's going to get a good run, maybe not down to the hairpin, but I'm sure that battle could be raging on. Yet still, as we see Drastic Devil picking up another 3-second time penalty. He's down in P12 already anyway, so it's all insult to injury for Devil at the moment. And I said this battle would continue, and that it has, as we see Sam now having a look on the inside, and Hickey dives to the inside there. Hickey didn't go as defensive as he did in turn 1 a lap previous, and has made the move stick, or has he? Hickey's coming back now on the outside. It's going to be side by side as they head through turn 7 and 8. Is it who's going to come out on top of this one? It looks like it's Sam for now. Hickey bails out of it and goes back behind his teammate. But for now at least, I think he's going to be coming right back at him with DRS, and we saw how potent that was as the two battled a lap previous, and Hickey's not even going to need DRS, putting that soft tyre to good use and gets back up the inside of him again. Fantastic stuff from the Ferrari guys here. Some superb close wheel-to-wheel action between two teammates as well. So the stakes are always higher when it's two teammates dicing for position. Now it's going to be Sam this time with the DRS as Hickey goes wide as well. That's not going to help his run onto the straight at all, and he's going to take the pain for that all the way down this straight. As Sam with the DRS, maybe not making the gains that I thought he would with DRS, but as they get onto the brakes now into the hairpin, Sam's got the outside line, but Hickey makes that inside line work for him, as to be expected. The shorter distance, and Sam's going to try for the inside. No, too risky a move, but Hickey bails out of it anyway and bails into the pit lane. So ultimately Sam continues on, probably on another strategy similar to what he did in Australia, just trying to extend those tyres out as long as possible and potentially do a pit stop less than everybody else. It worked for him well early on this season. It could work out well for him again, as we see Drastic Devil now making a move on Nor as he gets up to P11, but we know Drastic Devil's got those 6 seconds of time penalties to cater for as well, so that position might swap around before the end of this race yet again. As we see now Sam, as the guys behind them who were in front of him have pitted, he's now going to be probably overtaken by these guys with their tyre advantage as Josh makes it through, and it looks like Casey in the Toro Rosso might be on his way through as well, but Sam defends well for now. He's going to have a compromise run onto the main straight though, as Casey he would have DRS, but Sam has DRS as well, so that will help him fend him off as they head into turn 1. With the tyre advantage that Casey has, this might be a battle that Sam's ultimately going to lose at some point, but for now at least he's putting up a very strong fight. As we see now Casey's on the inside, but that becomes the outside as they head through turn 3. Casey's hanging on in there though on the outside. Sam leaves him some space. He had to, because Casey was so far alongside he could do nothing else really, as he now drops back down to P5 and Casey moves up a position. We're now on board with Luke, Season 5 champion. Casey's teammate, in fact, as he heads to the outside of Hickey heading into turn 1. It's a fantastic move, but Hickey seems to have come off worse there. Indeed he has, he's actually spun out, so maybe there's a bit of contact between the two of them there. It'll be interesting to see it from Hickey's perspective, as we are going to now, to see what happened there. It looked like Luke just sweeped around the outside, didn't pinch him to the apex, or at least it seemed anyway, and Hickey just understeered into Luke by the looks of things there, and came to grief at turn 1, so he's lost out in that particular fight. We saw him having lag issues earlier on, so it's certainly unfortunate. As we see now Luke on his charge back through the field, passes KGibbs with ease there. I think the Red Bull on those tyres that we know he's got to extend further than the set that punctured, just letting the Toro Rosso through there. It's a fight which, given that he's just looking at tyre life at the moment, it isn't really worth KGibbs fighting for now. As we see Drastic Devil, he hits into the back of Hickey there. Nightmare for Drastic Devil. This race can't really get any worse for Red Bull at the moment, and well, that was very strange incident there, as we see another Red Bull getting past there. The day goes from bad to worse for them. Comundo this time making the move, and KGibbs almost hit the back of Comundo there. It was almost 2 Red Bulls hitting the back of 2 different cars on separate laps, but KGibbs just about bailed out of it in time. Drastic Devil not so fortunate himself, but as we see there, Josh has slowed right down there. I don't know what's happened to him, but on the last lap of the race, it's drama for the Williams. He's going to get passed by the Toro Rosso of Luke as well. What's happened to Josh here? He's dropping like a stone. It looked likely for at least a solid podium for him, as we see Nor cross the line now. It's actually Sinan who's won this race in the Renault, so he's had a very quiet drive, just quietly going about his race to win by 8 seconds from James Maestro in P2. Casey, who we saw battling through, coming up to P3, and Sam with a fantastic drive to P4. Did make 2 stops like the guys ahead of him, but just seemed to get it right with an alternate strategy. And ultimately a fascinating race here in China. Plenty of wheel-to-wheel action, plenty of incidents as well. I think the stewards will be at the circuit long into this evening trying to decipher who was to blame for some of those. But ultimately, it's the Renault of Sinan who makes it a very interesting, I should say. 3 different winners in the first 3 races. This season's super competitive. We've seen a mixture of different drivers on the podium as well so far. 8 different drivers on the podium from the first 3 races, and ultimately it builds for what is going to be a fascinating championship to come. So thank you very much for watching the highlights here. We'll be back with highlights from Russia when that race commences and when that race completes, I should say. But ultimately, again, thanks very much for watching. Leave your comments in the comment section below. But until next time, guys, see you soon.